We made a deal to tell this story, and we're telling the. I'm in a very unique position because it's my second go at this story. But I've just now lived in this world for so long, and I am just. People were critical of some choices that we've made in the show.
Yeah.
And they were saying, like, oh, I like this better in the game, and this was more subtle in the game, whatever they said.
A completely different show this season. And everything's fine.
You are.
How far down that road did you get in your mind about playing Ellie in a Last of Us film?
I think it just really felt like a big deal. And what I remember, like the highlights of that time were just going to Naughty Dog headquarters, I guess, and walking around with Neil and him showing me how the game is made.
And the art?
This was the moment everything shifted. The fandom cracked in half, and the air around The Last of Us grew heavy. Neil Druckmann just dropped a bombshell that fans had been dreading. Season 3 might be canceled, and if the whispers are true, it's for the one reason studios never want to admit. They bet on the wrong lead. The blame? It's landing hard on Bella Ramsey. Her portrayal of Ellie in Season 2 is being dragged as one of the most disappointing character declines in recent TV history. And honestly, the criticism isn't unfounded. This wasn't just a poor casting decision. It was a devastating creative misfire that shook the very core of what made the series matter. The emotional weight, the prestige, the fan loyalty, torched in a single season. Season 1, pure gold. Stellar acting, brilliant pacing, immersive world building. It united longtime gamers and first-time viewers alike, sweeping through award season with force. But Season 2, a complete 180. The Last of Us went from a top-tier drama to a show fans hate-watched out of obligation. Suddenly, people were asking, who is this version of Ellie? Where's the girl who broke us with a glance? Where's the survivor who made us believe? Bella Ramsey's take never quite landed. She lacked the grit, the torment, the fire behind the eyes. She didn't embody Ellie. And now, if the rumors are true, that misalignment may have cost HBO the entire franchise. But let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. The signs were there early. The moment Ramsey was cast, warning bells echoed online. Fans weren't being toxic, they were concerned. Ellie isn't just another character. She is the soul of The Last of Us. Complex, damaged, angry, but deeply human. Ramsey didn't tap into that. She brought something else. Something flatter, cleaner, less raw. It wasn't Ellie. Her performance lacked the pain, the survivor's edge, the weight of trauma carried in silence. And fans noticed. Reddit exploded. TikTok stitched gameplay footage with her scenes. YouTube commentaries broke it all down frame by frame, but HBO held firm. They told us Ramsey would grow into it, that she was perfect for the role. She didn't, and now the whole series is teetering. But let's be clear, it wasn't just the casting. Season 2 crumbled from the inside. Despite having the budget, the hype, and a locked-in audience, the show lost its heartbeat. The storytelling turned disjointed. Timelines hopped around. The emotional arc collapsed. Instead of building tension and payoff, we got confusion and flat execution. Worse still, character behavior turned erratic. Joel's exit felt premature and underwhelming. Ellie's evolution didn't track with her past. The narrative lost its pulse, trying so hard to be bold that it forgot how to be good. And at the center of it all, a lead who couldn't hold the weight. Ellie's emotional wreckage came off like a high school theater monologue, more posture than pain. When Ellie broke down, it didn't hit. When she raged, it rang hollow. What should have been a gut punch landed like a soft nudge. Viewers tried to hang in. They wanted to believe in this Ellie. But Ramsey's performance just didn't deliver. And you could feel the shift. Critics pulled back, ratings slid, fans checked out. And inside HBO, panic. Behind the scenes, things were unraveling fast. Neil Druckmann, the mind behind it all, reportedly grew frustrated. This wasn't how he saw Ellie's journey. This wasn't how he imagined his legacy. Rumor has it, he fought for rewrites. He pushed for scenes that would recapture the heartbreak and fury that defined the original Ellie. But the gears of production were already grinding forward. and no one could stop the momentum. Next up, what happened inside the writer's room and how it might have broken The Last of Us for good. HBO had made their call, and they weren't going to reverse it. They doubled down on Bella Ramsey, locking in contracts, rolling out marketing, and committing to a path they were too proud to reconsider. Recasting now? That would mean admitting failure. And in Hollywood, that's a cardinal sin. Behind closed doors, sources say Neil Druckmann was urged to trust the process, but he saw it crumbling firsthand. That's when he began to pull away. Not with press statements or interviews, but with distance, a silent retreat. And now, that silence is deafening, because when the creator of your entire universe starts stepping back, it's not just behind-the-scenes drama, it's a sign that the foundation is cracking. The big clue? An interview where Bella Ramsey casually revealed that Ellie would play a smaller role in season 3. At the time, it seemed like a creative curveball. Maybe they were shifting focus to build out the world. But now, it reads like a warning shot. You don't reduce the presence of your main character unless something is seriously off track. This wasn't narrative boldness or creative evolution. It was damage control in plain sight. HBO was feeling the heat. Bella's performance had taken heavy hits from all corners. Critics, gamers, casual fans. Viewers tuned in and felt disconnected. Longtime supporters dropped off. It wasn't just an artistic debate anymore. It became a survival issue. So what did HBO do? They allegedly tried to phase her out, quietly, carefully, without making a fuss. No announcement, no explanation. Just fewer scenes, fewer lines, and a slow fade into the background. But audiences noticed. They're smarter than executives give them credit for. The attempt to soften her presence only made the problem more obvious. By then, the damage was baked in, and the metrics started to show it. Let's talk numbers, because that's where the story gets brutal. As season 2 neared its end, viewership tanked. Online chatter dried up. Hashtags fizzled. The once unshakable fandom, silent. Merch that sold out in hours during season 1 now sat untouched. Rewatch parties disappeared. And the critics? Suddenly nowhere to be found. Inside HBO, the alarm bells rang loud. Millions had been poured into this franchise, and now its cultural footprint was vanishing. And this wasn't just about losing buzz. This was about losing money. Season 3 would require another massive investment. But if the fans weren't coming back, what was the point? And that's when the conversations reportedly shifted from how do we fix this to is it worth fixing at all? That's when concern turned into crisis. According to multiple insiders, Neil Druckmann himself began to advocate for ending the show. Not because he wanted it gone, but because he couldn't stomach what it was becoming. Sources say he told execs that continuing under the current trajectory would betray the entire vision he built. The writing had veered too far from the heart of the game. The casting backlash was too great to walk back. So rather than let it deteriorate even further, he may have made the toughest call. Pull the plug. Walk away. Let the show die with dignity. And now the industry is spinning. Social media is in flames. YouTube theories, TikTok edits, Reddit exposés. It's all out there. Fans are split down the middle. Some point fingers at Bella, others at the showrunners. But many are blaming HBO for their stubborn refusal to listen, the refusal to admit the casting didn't work, the refusal to adjust course when the warning signs were blaring. This didn't have to end in disaster. Season 3 could have been a comeback. Instead, it's a cancellation that feels more like betrayal. And the ripple effect will be huge. Careers are going to take a hit. HBO's reputation as the gold standard for adaptations, shaken. And worst of all, fans feel robbed. We were promised something great, something true to the spirit of a legendary game. Instead, we got poor decisions layered on top of weak execution and ignored feedback. And that's what finally broke Druckmann's connection to it all. That's why he stepped away. That's why it's over. And to make matters worse, now there's talk that Pedro Pascal, the fan favorite from season 1, had serious issues with the direction of the second season. Rumor has it he clashed with writers, pushing back on Joel's arc and how it meshed with Ellie's portrayal. Whether creative or personal, the divide was real. With Pedro gone, Neil out, and fans abandoning ship, this isn't just a canceled show, it's the end of a cultural moment. Allegedly, things between Pedro Pascal and the showrunners got so tense that it reached a point of no return. He wanted out, and they let him go, quietly, without a fuss. Think about what that means. This wasn't just a lead actor leaving. This was the emotional core of the series walking out the door. And that left one person behind to carry whatever was left of a crumbling season 3. Neil Druckmann. Always a divisive figure, hailed by some as a visionary, criticized by others as a micromanager. But one thing is undeniable, his name is stamped on The Last of Us forever. So when things started to fall apart, it wasn't just a show's future at stake, it was his entire legacy. That's why, allegedly, he made the decision himself to pull the plug. Before HBO could make it worse, before the damage got even deeper, this wasn't just about cutting losses. It was about controlling the final chapter, protecting his name, and maybe preserving what little dignity the franchise had left. And behind the scenes, there's even more unrest. Insiders from the original Naughty Dog development team, particularly those still loyal to Bruce Straley, the co-creator who has since distanced himself, are said to be furious over the show's handling of Ellie's arc. So much so that some whispers claim Straley is considering legal action, not for profit, but to defend the original spirit of the story he helped shape. Imagine that, an industry-defining creator suing HBO for betraying the character at the heart of their story. That's how deep the creative fracture runs. This isn't just a poorly received season. This feels personal. It feels like betrayal. And it's not just about vision, it's about identity. Let's also take a second to acknowledge the real-world impact. Bella Ramsey is still very young, and yes, undeniably talented. But was she the right pick to play Ellie? Most fans would say no. And now, whether it's fair or not, she's stuck in the middle of a full-blown media firestorm. Her name is being dragged through every headline, meme, think piece, and fan theory. And it's not just the public piling on. Industry voices are starting to whisper that this could be one of the most unfortunate miscasts in the history of high-profile television. Now, every role she takes going forward will be under intense scrutiny. Her performances will be compared, her interviews dissected, and this controversy will follow her for a long time, especially if season 3 never sees the light of day. Because if this is the end, she'll be seen as the face of its downfall. This might go down as one of the most dramatic collapses in recent TV memory. The Last of Us had everything lined up: the critical acclaim, the fan base, the emotional foundation, and yet one casting misstep allegedly set off a chain reaction that brought it all crashing down. The lesson here? When loyal fans raise concerns, don't ignore them. Because if you do, the cost might not just be a bad season. It could be the